How's it going, everyone? I hope you are doing well. The UFC just announced a killer card for Saudi Arabia, and I'm going to go through this super exciting fight news, talk about each fight, and give you an early prediction for each fight. Starting with the first fight, which is Johnny Walker versus Volkan Oezdemir. This is an absolute banger. I love this matchmaking. Both guys coming off a loss, or Volkan Oezdemir coming off a win, Johnny Walker coming off a loss. I feel like Johnny Walker needed to step down in competition. So I actually really like this fight. And speaking of, I like Johnny Walker in this fight. I think Johnny Walker, he's got great power. He's kind of a marauder, if you will, just pushes forward, uses crazy ass techniques, flying knees, crazy kicks, just wild striking with the hands. And I think he's going to catch Volkan Oezdemir right on the chin. Volkan Oezdemir has never been that good. And in my opinion, I think Johnny Walker's level's above him, and I think he'll show that in this fight. But I'm happy to see Johnny Walker, get a little bit of a push down the rankings so that he can hopefully get back on track. I am a fan of Johnny Walker, so I do like that this fight was made. But also, I don't like this for the fact that I feel like it's a fairly one-sided fight, but it should be exciting, and it's a great fight to make for the card. Obviously, the full card is not announced, but Johnny Walker versus Volkan Oezdemir, probably a prelim headliner or main card opener. Amazing fight in my opinion. So let's go ahead and move on to the next fight. Kelvin Gastelum versus Daniel Rodriguez. This fight is okay. It's stylistically going to be an interesting fight to watch, but Kelvin Gastelum looked so shit in his last fight. So maybe he can get back to his winning ways, but I just don't like that he's still taking fights at welterweight. And to be honest, I could go without seeing this fight. It's still a good fight, don't get me wrong. I'm going to watch it. I'm excited to see it. Kelvin Gastelum, super explosive. Well, he used to be super explosive. He didn't look explosive at all in his last fight. But either way, has great power, great striking, and decent wrestling. I think we saw in his last fight that the wrestling narrative was a little bit overblown. But either way, just another fight added to the card that's got big names, great value. And I think this will probably be on the main card, most likely. I think it'll be the main card opener if Johnny Walker versus Volkan Oezdemir isn't. Or it'll be the prelim headliner, and I think that's a great spot to put that fight. And, I think that's going to be a fun fight. I think it'll be a dog fight. Both guys just like to go out there and stand and bang, so pause. But I do think this fight will be interesting, and I will be tuning in to watch it, although I don't exactly love the matchmaking. Next fight that was made, Sharabuttin Magomedov versus Ihor Potieria. Ihor Potieria, I picked against him in his last fight, and he completely proved me wrong. he looked great in that fight. He got the KO victory. And Sharabuttin he's gotten so much hype. I feel like most of it's for his, kind of look. It kind of looks like a pirate, one eye. But, regardless, he's exciting to watch, and he's maybe not one of the best, but he is an elite level striker, in my opinion. After watching his first UFC fight, I was very impressed with the striking, and if he can shore up that grappling, he's going to be a problem for the middleweight division. I believe he's a middleweight. I could be wrong, though. So I love this matchmaking. Both guys coming off a win. Both guys, gnarly power, super aggressive. I think they're both just going to meet in the center of the octagon and clash. And I can't wait to see this fight. I think this fight will be on the prelims unless they're really trying to give Sharabuttin a spotlight. Because on this ESPN MMA post, it kind of looks like it may be the featured fight on the card, which is, in my opinion, a little bit disappointing. But either way, I hope they do add some more fights to this card and a better featured fight. But I'm not going to complain if this is our featured fight because it is an absolute banger. And what I assume to be the co-main event, Sergei Pavlovic versus Alexander Volkov. Sergei Pavlovic coming off that brutal loss to Tom Aspinall, got chinned in the first round, but, up until then, he's looked pretty much unbeatable, man. He's looked like a fucking Terminator. just marching people down and slugging it out and just using that long wingspan and gnarly power to get people out of there really quickly. Alexander Volkov, just had it wasn't super recent, but had a recent win against Tai Tuivasa where he just completely dismantled the Tai Tuivasa on the feet. Landed crushing body kicks, completely outstruck him and outclassed him on the feet. and just took him down over and over again, or not over and over, but I mean, he did take him down and submitted him with an Ezekiel choke, which was very impressive for me, as you don't see many submissions at heavyweight. I love this fight. I think this is a winnable fight for either guy. I do think Alexander Volkov is criminally underrated. And I think Sergei Pavlovich, we just saw, I picked Tom Aspinall in that fight because Sergei Pavlovich is hittable. Granted, I didn't think Tom Aspinall was going to go out there and chin him. I thought he was probably going to rock him or drop him, and then, the good old clash in club and sub, and he's going to submit Sergei Pavlovich. But honestly, I could see Alexander Volkov submitting, I could see Alexander Volkov submitting Sergei Pavlovich in this fight. Let me know if that's a kind of a crazy take, but I mean, to be honest, Sergei Pavlovich, we don't know much about the wrestling at all, and he got submitted by Alistair Overeem. So if you're getting submitted by Alistair Overeem, I think Volkov has an opportunity to do it. But it's kind of a question of how much has Sergei Pavlovich improved since he fought Alistair Overeem in his first UFC fight. I think it's a lot. If I had to pick someone, early prediction for this fight, I'd pick Sergei Pavlovich by KO, probably in the first round. But I mean, Alexander Volkov, he can get in there and he can definitely win this fight. It's not out of range for him to win. I forgot to give a couple early predictions. So for Sharabutin Magomedov versus Ihor Potieria, my early prediction would be Sharabutin Magomedov, just due to the fact that I think he's got the cleaner striking. He's aggressive. He's got good jiu-jitsu. I think he'll do decent on the ground if Ihor Potieria does decide to take it there, but I don't think that'll happen. I think it'll be a striking match. And I do think if it's a striking match, Sharabutin Magomedov will TKO Ihor Potieria, probably, for late first round, early second round. And for Kelvin Gastelum versus Daniel Rodriguez, I'm probably going to go Kelvin Gastelum. I'm not 100% confident in that pick due to the fact that he's looked kind of washed in his last couple fights. But with Daniel Rodriguez, he's just super chinny, chin wide up in the air. Not a good look, just in general as a fighter. I think he's just showing up for paychecks at this point in time, to be honest with you. So I would go Kelvin Gastelum in that matchup. Hopefully it does stay intact. Kelvin Gastelum made weight in his last fight, but you never know with him. It could just be called off due to Kelvin Gastelum missing weight or having more health issues. So I do hope we get to see it, but if it does happen, I'm going Kelvin Gastelum. And now for our main event, which I am so excited for. Khamzat Chimaev versus Robert Whittaker. Khamzat Chimaev has been talking recently like he was done fighting or he wasn't going to come back fighting. I've seen, this may be information being misspread, but I've seen things here and there where it seems like Khamzat isn't really in the fight game anymore, and then all of a sudden this announcement pops up. I get super excited every time I see a Khamzat Chimaev announcement because every time he fights, it's an interesting fight. Now, he's coming off that win over Kamaru Usman. I thought it should have been a draw. I thought Khamzat Chimaev won the first round 10-8. And I thought Kamaru Usman won the second and the third, 10-9. So it should have been a draw in my opinion. But, either way, it's a good look against, I think people kind of forgot who Kamaru Usman was going into that fight. People were predicting Chimaev to submit him in the first round. I predicted him by, I believe it was either a late submission or a decision. So I'm still very impressed with the performance he had over Kamaru Usman. So, I think this is a barn burner fight. I do think, Robert Whittaker is the steepest test he's had to this day. Robert Whittaker is super well-rounded, good wrestling, so I don't think he's going to get easily out-wrestled by Khamzat Chimaev, but I will probably end up picking Khamzat Chimaev to either TKO or submit Robert Whittaker. If you're getting taken down, shucked to the ground by Dricus du Plessis, who basically uses his physicality to do that, I think Khamzat Chimaev is probably going to be able to do that as well. But Robert Whittaker, he's an elite level striker. He's got great, I believe it's karate is his base. It may be kickboxing, so don't quote me on that, but I believe it's karate. He has an amazing karate blitz, I believe is what they call it. And, I think I could see him outstriking Chimaev on the feet. Chimaev, his striking is not that great. He's getting pieced up by Gilbert Burns on the feet. So I do think this is a very dangerous fight for Khamzat Chimaev. I will probably pick him due to him just putting on a pace, being aggressive, being relentless, getting the takedowns, and probably ending up to submit Robert Whittaker or TKO him by ground and pound. So, these are some banger fights. I can't fucking wait for this card. I know it's in June, so we got a while to go, but I mean, 2 months and we get to see those fights. I'm just in shock right now. I got out of, everything. I dropped everything I was doing to record this video. So I do hope you guys enjoy the video. If you did, please leave a like and comment down below if you want more news reaction videos in the future. And I hope you guys have a wonderful night.